Well, I have a master's degree in social work, and after I had done work in that field for a while as a therapist, I decided I wanted to become a coach. So then I went to coaching school, Newfield Network, awesome school, and studied coaching. And I became a life coach, and then I became an organizational coach. So those are my main credentials.
So let's dive into your contribution to the book. Thank you so much. Your section, Linda, was on mindset. So talk to us about what we can look forward to in reading your section, and also talk about the exercises that you have folks going through.
Sure. So I start out with a story about myself, which
I asked you to do. No, because it's so important that you be able to share your experience, because people have those similar experiences and want to identify with those.
Absolutely. I love that you asked me to share that, because the truth is, for me, and even like what we teach in A Radical Shift, is it's very important to go back to the core of who we are.
Yes.
And if I can remember who I was when I was 4 and what just inspired me without me even thinking about it, then I am close to who I came into the world being.
Yep.
And what I wanted to accomplish. Absolutely. And at that point, I was a little girl who very much wanted to connect, wasn't really in a family that had a great time doing that. So what I did was I sought a lot of connection outside of me. And the fun story is that my mother used to tell about me is that she'd have her 3 other daughters, she'd have to go to the grocery store, we were all young, 2 years apart, 7 down to 2, and I would be 4, and I would be running up and down the aisles while all my sisters were hanging out with my mom and hanging on to her. My one sister was under her dress. I would be running up and down the aisles asking adults, and this is what really blows my mind, mostly men. Did they love their jobs? Did they love their wives? And did they love their families, their children?
How are men reacting to that?
Well, first of all, but the stunned, like, what do I do with this child, right? I mean, this was back also in the late 50s, so I mean, it was very mind-blowing for them. But yeah, I followed mailmen for miles, but I just wanted to talk and converse and connect. I wanted to know what made people tick.
Yeah.
So that led into just a lifetime passion for wanting to continue to understand that, for wanting to help myself and others just know what's going on inside of them, how that impacts what they do, how they show up, and what they can accomplish with this lifetime.
Absolutely. So Linda, you contributed a phenomenal exercise as it relates to mindset. This is, and the reason why we put this as the first section in this particular section of the book is because it's so important to really get this right, so to speak, before you move into the rest of it. So talk through the exercise a little bit.
Sure. So I call it the 3D exercise because the whole piece is about how do we do some of these things in the 3D world, because we go into it, and I tell people that I work with, it's kind of just, it's like we have this wonderful thought, oh, I'm going to create my own business, or I'm going to do this amazing thing, and then we start to think about, oh, what it's going to mean financially, and what it's going to mean, and we start to go, oh, and those fears start coming up. So yeah, so this was an exercise where I proposed 3 different steps: dump, discern, and detach. And dumping is just taking the time quietly to literally answer the question, and this question in this case would be, when I think about starting my own business, what do I find myself thinking? What comes up? And then just writing every single thing that's in your brain. Everything that pops up, let it just come up. Don't, overthink it, because it's important to know what's in there. And then the second part, which is discern, is to look at them and see the ones that are pretty clearly fear. Like, I'm worried about money, I don't know how I'm going to make it, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of things I'm going to have to do. And take all those and put them below, because you're going to focus on those.
Okay.
And then you can take them one at a time if they're very different, but often fears are really linked, they're very similar. They're fears of lack, or they're fears of my competence, or not being supported, things like that. So take a fear and then use your imagination. And I talk about imagination because it kind of cuts through the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and it goes into a whole other realm. So it helps us to kind of get out of that loop. And what you do in your imagination is you imagine the fears in a box, and then you rise above them in your imagination and you look down on them. And what happens is you automatically feel a little lighter, like I'm not in them or of them, I'm up here looking at them. And then when you come back down, you're able to think a little bit more clearly about how would I move through that fear.
That's great. And that's the detached piece, right?
That's the detached
last
piece.
step of the process.
Right,
That's awesome.
exactly. Yes.
I love that. I'm a big fan of floating above and really, because I imagine myself doing that too in a lot of different situations, both personally and business. Anytime I find myself kind of getting sucked into a situation, I'm like, I literally try to envision myself like floating on a little cloud, looking down at the situation, going like, do I really need to get so tangled up in this?
Oh, it is so important, because I think after the years that I've done this work, it's been 26 years, I realize that what happens is people can't get clear because they are so in it.
Yeah.
We get so in it. I'm not just going to say other people.
Yeah.
we all
Yes.
we all just feel like we don't even know. We're just so in it that we can't see anything outside of it.
Yeah, exactly. Good.
No objectivity, really.
Yeah. So Linda, some of the biggest challenges I see entrepreneurs have, and I will say specifically female entrepreneurs, but I'm sure men go through this to some extent as well, is getting very caught up in what other people have to say, advice, feedback on their business idea or their decision to leave their, cushy corporate job to, fly into the unknown, so to speak. So we call these people naysayers. So what are your suggestions, and you cover this a bit in the book, on dealing with those individuals?
Yeah, so number one suggestion is, before you embark on anything and talk to people about it, just absolutely know that that's going to happen. Be prepared, in other words.
Yeah, people are going to come at you.
Unfortunately, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
People are going to say all kinds of things. I remember when I started Options for Growth back in 1987, and it was a private practice. It's not like I was trying to start, a big corporation.
A power plant.
How are you ever going to know how many things you're going to, how are you going to figure this out? And I don't know, I'll just figure it out. But people, I was kind of surprised, and that's, so I just tell people, just be prepared.
Yeah.
And I actually coach people who are already kind of running into it or need more preparation to kind of get a mantra. And have something that you can say to people, because what's coming at you is usually people's fear.
Yes.
Their own fear. And if somebody approaches you and says something like, wow, I hear you're going to try to do this, and
I always have that try.
Yeah.
Oh, you're trying to. No, I'm doing it. Sorry.
Yeah. And which is great. But if they can approach it with any kind of modicum of like, I really kind of thought about it, and okay, maybe you can listen to them.
Yeah.
But normally it's just some kind of like version, honestly, no matter how nicely they mask it, of like, what's wrong with you? Like, are you kidding me? You crazy or what, right? So I suggest they get a mantra, and that can be numerous things for numerous people, but it's something like, maybe, I see that you're concerned, I appreciate your concern, I have thought about this a lot, and I'm really comfortable with where I'm going, so thanks anyway.
Yeah.
And then just end the conversation.
Exactly.
Because they really get very intense
Yeah.
about their need to rescue you, which in reality is saving themselves from whatever fear is being triggered for them around you making that move.
Yeah. Great points.
In all the marital work I've done, it's actually sometimes hard to know where people are going to come from. Like, what level of relationship do they have?
Yeah.
So for me, honestly, with the relationship I have with my husband, or in a deep relationship, you can just say, look, you know what, honey, this is a passion for me. This is something that is calling me that I need to do to be happy? And how can we together wrap our brains around what it might take financially or whatever, and I really, because I want you with me on this, right? If you've got a situation in which, you know, somebody is so triggered, your spouse is so triggered that they're sort of doing the whole, oh my gosh, or, you know, even if not triggered, they're just concerned. They're concerned about the time and everything. Then I just really think that, again, you sit down and you can talk about how can we work this. Basically, your partner has to be able to get behind what it means to you.
I can add to that, Linda, the advice that I give for folks that are embarking on this conversation with their partner, their spouse, whatnot, is if you can take some time to document a bit of a game plan, at least, run some numbers. You know, you don't need a full-fledged business plan, but in the Steps to Startup platform that's included in this book, we use the Lean Business Canvas. You know, it's a one-page business plan type of thing, and to be able to sit down with your partner and say, here's my ideas, and I've really put some thought into them, and presenting it in a very simple visual fashion to them. I know I've walked a number of women through that process with their partner or spouse, and it was a lot easier to have that conversation when it's like, you know, number one, you have a piece of paper that you're focused on, so you're not getting emotional if your partner, you know, is kind of challenging you a little bit. You're kind of, you know, do put your emotion into it, as you're saying, of saying like, you know, this is why I need this, you know, I need your support, but also keep it factual. Like, I've done my due diligence, my homework, so to speak, really thought through this. This is the plan, the approach. So they feel better and more concrete potentially about stepping into this.
Absolutely. It's not some kind of pipe dream. You're not flying off to, you know, and for being unrealistic. You have a piece of paper that says, I have really literally thought through that. I think that's perfect.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for your contribution, Linda.
You're more than welcome.
Really,
it's my honor.
Really enjoyed working with you, and the exercise and the contribution has just been so important in building this story and helping women in their process of taking flight.
Yes. Thank you. It's been really great.
Awesome.